When twin sisters return home from school to find a house covered with blood and their mother savagely murdered, an investigation was launched, but the police didn't need to look far for the culprits. Nikki Whitehead was the mother of the two twin girls Tasmiyah and Jasmiyah, also known to most as Taz and Jazz. Nikki was born in prison, where her mother was doing time for drug possession. When Nikki reached the age of 17, she found herself pregnant with the twins and gave birth to them on November 27th, 1993. Nikki and her daughters lived with her grandmother until they were 7 years old. When Nikki was 25 years old, she met a man called Robert Head, who was a 55-year-old truck driver. Nikki and her two daughters soon moved into Robert's house in Georgia. Unfortunately, in the early years of the twins' lives, Nikki wasn't always present as she was still young herself. This meant the girls were initially raised by their great-grandmother, Della Frazier. In 2007, when the twins were 13, Nikki requested custody of them. Della said that the twins saw their mother's attempts to control them as hypocritical, which caused them to clash. The conflicts escalated to physical violence and resulted in appearances in juvenile court. Nikki called the police after an argument with the girls, when the twins were angry about not getting their own way. The officer that attended said Nikki looked afraid of the twins.
The girls seem very innocent, very sweet. But the look in Nikki's face, she was fearful of those children. She knew that they worked together.
A few minutes after the officer left the house, Nikki frantically called the police as the two twins had started attacking her.
Nikki's running out of the house with the cordless phone in her hand, hysterical. I pulled up, asked her what happened. She said as soon as I left that the girls had attacked her.
Della was once again given custody, only to have Nikki regain custody on the January the 5th, 2010. The girls protested the decision, but the court ordered them to live with their mother for a 2-week trial period. 8 days into the 2-week trial period, Nikki was found dead. On January the 13th, the 16-year-old twins had returned home from school to find their home covered in blood and their 34-year-old mother's dead body in the bathtub. Nikki had been beaten with a vase and stabbed with a kitchen knife more than 80 times, nearly severing her spinal cord. The medical examiner determined that Nikki's death was a crime of passion. The twins pointed detectives towards Nikki's boyfriends by telling detectives that Nikki had another boyfriend named Joe, and Robert, her current boyfriend, had confronted her about him after catching her on a phone call talking with him. However, the police questioned and DNA tested Robert, and he was cleared as a suspect, and Joe didn't even seem to exist. When taking the girls to the police station, one of the twins was biting her arm. She was asked why she was doing this, and she explained that she does that when she gets upset. In the interrogation room, the twins make a very strange request.
And when I said, what can I do to make this easier for you? They turned and looked at me and they said, can we watch CSI? Something was very, very off.
Police said that when interviewing the twins, they would cry a lot, but it was tearless crying. When they were asked to describe their mother, they were very insulting of her. In the interrogation room, the detectives noticed that the girls still have gloves on and told them to take them off. They noticed a scratch on one of the twins' hands. She tells detectives that she got the scratch when fighting with the other twin. The detectives found at the crime scene a pair of brown boots covered in blood hidden in a shoebox. They also found a clump of hair at the crime scene that had been wrapped in a napkin and stuffed into the toe of a shoe. The police's growing suspicion of the twins led them to interview the girls deeper. The twins told police they left at 7:30 a.m. and missed the bus to school, meaning they had to walk. But surveillance video from a nearby gas station shows the twins actually hitched a ride from a stranger. Also, the high school surveillance video shows the twins arriving in the hallway hours after they told police they arrived at school. After being confronted about their lies, the twins became argumentative and uncooperative with detectives. The girls were released because police only had circumstantial evidence and were returned to the care of their great-grandmother. The girls went back to their normal lives, acting as if nothing ever happened. They went to prom, parties, and hung out with friends. Meanwhile, police were watching, waiting, and testing evidence, quietly building their case. Earlier, police saw Taz biting her arm because she said she was upset. However, the dental records of Nikki's teeth matched the bite marks on the twins' arms. It is believed she tried to cover up Nikki's bite marks by creating a new bite mark over the top of it. The autopsy also revealed one of the twins' hairs between Nikki's teeth.
That twin was behind Nikki and had her from around the front. Nikki's fighting for her life and bit her arm, and that's how the The hair became embedded in her teeth.
The police decided to arrest the twins on their last day of school in fear they may try and flee the country. The twins were charged with felony murder and aggravated assault in the death of their mother. The girls were sent off to jail whilst they awaited trial, and after nearly 4 years of waiting, the twins came forward with a truly disturbing confession.
She trying to hit us with the pot. You know, she just threatening us and everything.
I had took the pot from her. This one she had grabbed, like kind of turned like you said, get back. But she didn't keep the knife in her hand.
I picked up the pot and I hit her. She bit me in my chest. Like I said, I'm not that big, so when she bit me, she latched on to me. I'm trying to get her off of me because it hurts. I'm trying to punch her, I guess. And I think Dad stabbed her.
At some point, she begins to choke her mother with this ribboned medallion she won as a child. Her mother delivers a swift backhand blow, catching her by surprise.
So I was stunned. I think I picked up a knife and I stabbed her. They wasn't cuts like they were deep, because I couldn't bring myself to do that.
She was heavy.
What did y'all do?
They put her in the tub.
What'd she say?
She hated us. She hated us. And I don't know, I guess like the same thing. We're going to jail.
But what are you saying to her?
I'm sorry. I told her I was sorry.
Jasmiyah and Tasmiyah Whitehead, who were only 16 at the time of the murder, pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and were sentenced to 30 years in prison after admitting to the brutal murder of their mother. A possible motive for the murder of Nikki is that the girls were up late the night before school and refused to get up the next morning, which resulted in the argument and attack of their mother. The girls then cleaned up the crime scene the best they could and went to school to use as an alibi. There was also a bloody trail that led outside, suggesting Nikki made it out of her house before being dragged back in and murdered. Nikki's next door neighbour recalls hearing someone yelling outside and remembers someone ringing his doorbell, but he didn't get up to answer it. Feel free to suggest any cases you'd like me to cover. Thanks for watching.